Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message. I present to you the Lesbian Detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here to talk about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is a new year and a new episode. I'm so happy that you guys are coming back to listen to our little podcast. We had a fantastic weekend. We went out with a couple friends. We went to a brunch place, and my wife has gone crazy because it's a winter storm coming in our area. And guys, we are Texans. We don't know nothing about winter storms.
Texas shuts down with the sight of snow, black ice. Like, we're not prepared. Even when it rains, like, we don't know how to drive. So I made sure that we had a generator, some food, some propane. I mean, at the end of the day, we have a baby, so we want to be prepared.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to be completely prepared. But you kind of went a little crazy. Like, we was in Home Depot for a long time and spent a lot of money.
Generators are not cheap, babe.
They're really not. But we didn't get a big one. We got like a normal size one that can help us a lot in ways.
We just need 4 things. The fridge, the internet, a TV, and a heater.
That's all. That's all we need. I talked to the podcasters that we will be on their show. One is Private Decks. We had one of their ads on our show a couple weeks ago. We will go in February the 26th. That's when our episode will hit.
Okay.
We have one in January or February. She doesn't know when she's going to release that one, but we will let you guys know. I'm excited. This episode that we're doing right here, I actually did on True Crime 1 Minute, and I never heard this case before. I was doing the research, and then as I kept going more and more into the case, I'm like, wait a minute. I need to know more about this case. I have to do it on a podcast. It's a very twist and turn case. So let's start this podcast. Today's case is about a wife and mother getting attacked in her home on January 25th, 1945. After surviving the attack, she changed in many ways. She was more anxious and believed that someone was after her. On October the 18th, 1949, she was abducted from her home. As the man was carrying her unconscious body out of the house, her daughter stopped and asked him, "What are you doing?" He told her, "Go back to sleep, little one. Your mother is fine." That was the last time that anyone had saw her again. This is the case of Dorothy Dora Forstein. Dorothy Dora Cooper. I might switch from Dorothy or Dora. She goes by both, actually. So I might do Dorothy sometime or Dora, so let you guys know. Dorothy Dora Cooper was born in the fall of 1909 to parents John and Della. One of the 6 children, Dora grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She met her future husband, Jules Forstein, when the two were just children. However, they lost touch for several years after reaching adulthood. On July 3rd, 1940, Jules' first wife died in childbirth at the age of 33. The couple had 2 daughters, Myrna and Marcy. After Jules' wife died, he reconnected with Dora. Jules and Dora got married in 1942. Jules was a clerk for the Philadelphia City Council when they got married. Dorothy was happy, outgoing young woman. she became a devoted mother of her 2 children. Marcy was an infant and Myrna aged 10. After the wedding, Dora legally adopted her daughters. The marriage was a happy one, and Jules' professional life began to prosper. When he became a judge in 1943, another child named Edward was born a short time later. Those who knew Jules and Dora said they appeared to be a happy marriage. Their family lived in a 3-story brick home in Philadelphia. Everything seemed to be going well for the family, but unfortunately, things would change. On January 25th, 1945, Dora left her children at a neighbor house and went shopping. She chatted with a store employee and she went about her day. However, when her neighbor Maria spotted Dora walking home that evening, Maria noticed that a man seemed to be following her. It was getting dark. Maria admitted that she didn't look closely to the man. It was a safe neighborhood. She never imagined that Dorothy was in trouble. Just as Dorothy was entering the 3-story brick home, the stranger, whoever he was, began to attack her. He jumped and started beating her with his fists, and shortly he got a blunt instrument. Dorothy fell to the ground as she was pounded into unconsciousness. As she trembled into the house, her arm dislodged the hall telephone. In those days, a live operator, the voice on the other end of the line, heard the commotion and quickly summoned the police. The attacker fled the scene as he heard the approaching sirens. Police officers arrived moments later and found a beaten Dorothy on the floor of the hallways. She suffered a broken jaw, a shattered nose, a fractured shoulder, and a brain concussion. She was rushed to the hospital, and when she awakened, she could only weakly explain that someone jumped out at her and I couldn't see who it was. He just hit me and hit me. Law enforcement felt certain that this was attempted murder. What they couldn't figure out, though, was who wanted to hurt Dora.
Right.
She was well-liked and had no enemies. As far as anyone knew, Jules himself was ruled out as a suspect early on due to having a solid alibi. Nothing was stolen from the home. The authorities concluded that the assailant was likely someone that Jules had come into contact with whilst working as a judge. Perhaps someone who wanted avenge against him. Jules was a loss and couldn't prove no leads or potential suspects. In fact, he didn't believe that there was anyone who wanted to hurt him that bad.
He couldn't think of any enemies?
No. I mean, if it was me, I would have like a whole list. I'm like, check this person out. I don't know. Anybody like I smiled at or looked at, check them out.
Anybody that he sentenced, I feel, would have a personal vendetta against him. But he's just doing his job.
But people don't see it that way.
Right.
You know? I mean, their judges are, sometimes they're good judges and they're bad judges. We don't know what kind of judge he was per se, you know?
Well, it depends what you want.
Right.
It's your definition of good and bad.
I agree with you. Dorothy recovered from her injuries, but was so shaken by the incident that she was never the same again. Her happy and carefree personality was gone, replaced by an anxious woman who was nervous and upset, jumping at every noise in the house, checking and rechecking the locks on the door and windows. She was sure that someone was after her. Jules did his best to stay at home or never stay out too late. On the evening of October the 18th, 1949, Jules had a politician banquet to attend. As he was leaving the office, he called his wife to check on her. He explained that he didn't plan to stay that long and he'd be home shortly. Dorothy explained that everything was fine at home, and she joked with him for a moment, finally seeming more like herself. Be sure to think of me. Around 9 p.m., she called a friend and arranged to go shopping together the following day. This will be the last time that anyone has ever heard of Dora. Later that night, 9-year-old Marcy was awakened by a strange sound. She opened the door and was alarmed to find a man she never seen before walking up the stairs. Across the hallway, she noticed that her parents' bedroom door was open. She saw her mother lying on the floor, face down, in her PJs. She had a red nightgown and red slippers, appeared to be unconscious. The unknown man described by Marcy was wearing a brown hat, a jacket, and he looked like the same age as her father, 43. He proceeded to pick up Dora up, put her over his shoulders. The terrified Marcy asked the intruder, what was he doing? To which he responded, go back to bed, little one. Your mother is fine. He patted her on the head before walking down the stairs with her mother still slumped over his shoulder. It's a different version of this, so we don't know what he said to Marcy, but Marcy never came out and said what he said.
Word by word.
Yeah, but the police officers, that's what they said that they got from it.
It was weird, though, that he didn't hurt the kids. And he was talking to them like he appreciated them, or he had some kind of
attraction to them.
Right.
Because for him to say that, we get back to this theories a little bit because I want to get too far into it. But it seemed like he was super nice to her.
He was like very caring.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't know them, why would he?
Right.
We've heard other cases, and a lot of the times if there's a witness, they most likely get rid of them. It doesn't matter if they're an adult, a kid, a teenager. They don't care. They don't want to leave no trace behind.
I just did a case on True Crime 1 Minute that came out on Monday. He hurt the son. He beat the son so bad because he could identify him. And he killed the mother. So that's like tell you that this man, for him not to hurt her, is very important.
Mm-hmm. And then called her little one.
He carried Dora outside, locked the door behind him, and vanished into the night. That's just like, shivered like down my back a little bit. Wow. Like he took the opportunity to lock the door. Like he must have had a key or something because he locked the door behind him.
Well, it depends what lock. If it's the bottom lock, you can do it from the inside. But if it's the bolt, then you need the key.
I mean, it's just still kind of creepy for him just to lock the door. Like, what killers or kidnappers care that much to lock the door?
Right.
They're like, forget, somebody leave the door open. Like, the way they came in, like, figure out. Creepy. Marcy ran to her brother Edward's room and waited for their father to come home. Their oldest daughter, 19-year-old, was spending the night at her friend's home. Jules arrived home around 11:30 p.m. that night and found Marcy and Edward clinging to each other in the bedroom, crying. Mommy's gone. Marcy informed her father about what happened, saying that the intruder had left with Dora just 15 minutes earlier. Strangely, though, it was extremely uncharacteristic of Dora to leave the children alone. Jules never believed Marcy's story. Jules assumed that Dorothy was visiting with one of her friends or neighbor. He called all her friends and family members and said he was unable to find a single person who's seen or heard from her since 9 p.m.
Jules and Arthur reported Dora Forstein missing at 3:40 a.m. He called Captain Kelly, and the detective soon started his men, checking hospitals, morgues, and hotels all over Philadelphia. They worked frantically, but no clues were discovered. Kelly went door to door in the neighborhood, but no one had seen anything unusual. Wherever she was, Dorothy had left her purse, money, and keys at home. The front door to the house had been locked. Jules' alibi for the evening was quickly verified. He also made the vague statement to investigators that his wife wasn't in good health. Like Jules, the police were skeptical of the child's account and sent her to a psychiatrist to be interviewed. However, after speaking to Marcy at length, the psychiatrist was convinced that she was, in fact, telling the truth. As with the 1945 attack, the police once again believed that Dora's assailant was probably someone with a grudge against Jules. But there was no evidence for this, or anything else for that matter. There were no signs of forced entry, and the intruder hadn't left any fingerprints behind. Law enforcement investigated nearly 100 tips in the week after Dora went missing, but no suspects or promising leads came from their efforts. Just when it looked like Dora Forstein's case couldn't be any more perplexed, a bizarre sighting proved that wrong. A patrolman named Edward Shapiro came forward to report that he'd seen a woman who resembled Dora days after she went missing, emerging from the telephone booth inside a candy store. She seemed suspicious of him from the outset, according to Edward's account, and tried to keep her distance. The sighting occurred in Camden, New Jersey, approximately 5 miles away from Philadelphia. Next, he followed her into a tavern and found her drinking a beer. However, as soon as she noticed him, she hurriedly exited the bar. Shapiro claimed to have seen the woman again the following night, this time She was speaking to the man on the street corner and joking about only having one arm. Since Dora had reoccurring issues with her shoulder since the 1945 attack, his comment is possibly significant. The woman was never seen again after this and had never been positively identified as Dora Forstein. For his part, Chief Kelly was puzzled by Shapiro's story. She is either a victim of foul play or amnesia, he would go on to say. Ultimately, the search expanded to include 11 states. Still, no answers were forthcoming. Dora Forstein was never found. Jules Forstein had a heart attack shortly after his wife vanished, but he recovered. He also put up a $1,000 reward for information leading to his wife's whereabouts. The reward was never claimed. Jules, who had never remarried, died on January the 1st, 1956, after suffering another heart attack. He left behind an estate valued of $4,906 for his 3 children. Dora herself left behind $9,946 in securities in her safe deposit box. What these securities consisted of or whether they came from is unclear. Months after Jules' passing, Dora was declared legally dead on October the 18th, 1956, the 7th anniversary of her disappearance. Myrna, 26, took custody of her 2 younger siblings. To this day, several decades later, the circumstances surrounding 40-year-old Dora Forstein's abduction and the identity of her abductor, as well as the motive behind her earlier attack, remain a mystery.
Before we end this case, let's remember the woman that went missing. Dora was a fighter. She was attacked before, but she fought for her life. She was going through a rough period after the attack, but she was getting back to her old self. She was a mother of 3 children that miss her so bad. This is the case of Dorothy Dora Forstein. Now let's get into some theories.
Let's get into some theories.
You or me?
Yeah.
I always sit back and think, was it the same man that attacked her like a couple years before, came back and re-attacked her? And I just couldn't put it together. Because the first man seemed like a violent man, how he pushed her in and started beating her.
Right.
This man, I don't know how he got her unconscious. He could have gave her something or hit her, but how he took her, the kids, a little bit and made sure they were safe in case somebody tried to come in and hurt them.
Right.
Because he locked the door. I have did a lot of research and read a lot of cases and heard a lot of cases. When they get the victim and kidnap them, they're not locking the door back. They're barely closing the window they went through.
Right.
They got the victim and then they're gone. They complete their mission. So it's like, they really don't care about the rest to me. It's just hard.
I guess it doesn't make sense for me because if you really cared about the kids, why would you unalive their mother? You know, maybe the vendetta was personal and it overpowered, but it just doesn't, like you said, it doesn't make any sense.
I think it was 2 different people. The first attack, I don't think it was the same person. I don't, because he was too violent. The second one, he doesn't seem too violent. I mean, he did kidnap her per se, but he didn't touch the kids. Even when he saw a little girl, she said, "Hey, what are you doing?" For him to say, "Go back to sleep." Then call her like a little nickname, little one. It's like, okay, kind of weird a little bit. I don't think it was the same person. What if she did have a stalker? Because she said she always felt like someone was watching her, but everybody assumed that because of the attack, she was being kind of like a paranoid a little bit.
Right.
But what if she wasn't? What if she was seeing somebody really watching her? And she saw this. She's like, hey, someone's like really watching me, but nobody believed her. Even her husband, when she went missing, he said she wasn't okay, really.
Right.
And I would never said that if like you went missing. I wouldn't say like, oh, she wasn't okay. Like, what was the point of saying that? And for them not to believe the 9-year-old, why? She's 9. I'm like, if she was younger, say 3 or 4, I'm like, okay, you know, but she was 9.
Yeah.
I think they lost a lot when they didn't believe her.
Right.
And I think she probably even questioned herself, like, oh, no, we don't believe her. Like, her dad didn't believe her. The police officer didn't believe her. She had to go to a therapist. And for the therapist to say, yes, I believe her. She's correct. Like, that will damage her a little bit.
I think, too, because it was a different time and a lot of women were seen as second-class citizens, much more a child, a female child. One thing I know is somebody really wanted to get rid of her. So there's two things. Either the person that wanted to get rid of her hired different people to complete the task, or this person worked up the courage or got the experience they needed maybe to complete the task. So I'm not into gangs or anything like that, but I've seen a lot of documentaries. And a lot of the times, like, people can't just go up and, unalive somebody. So they start taking, certain substances to kind of dull their minds or give them that extra, it's liquid courage or whatever you want to call it. So what if when they were on that substance, they became kind of angered? Because any substance can affect you differently. What if they were kind of angered and then they were kind of sloppy with it? I mean, the first one was very kind of brutal.
Yes.
And so, like, the second one, once they've kind of practiced or mastered or achieved another type of skill set where they didn't need the substance and they've had more time to contemplate and plan out their mission, that's how they were able to deliver it a little bit better. I don't know.
I don't.
You don't think it was the same person?
I don't think it's the same person.
I mean, if the first tactic failed and you really want to unalive somebody or complete a certain mission, you're going to think about it. You're going to think about every possible thing, and then you're going to replay, how does she get away? Or how can I prevent this? How can I prevent that? Like, what is the best possible way to achieve this goal? And sometimes if you detach yourself and your emotions, maybe it's easier to carry out that task. I don't know.
I feel like, I said in the beginning, I feel like the first attack and the second attack are two different men. Only reason I said that is the first one, I feel like he really wanted to kill her. He wanted to kill her right there in her home. He was beating her senseless. She was almost dead, basically. If the phone didn't get off the hook, we'll have a different story to tell.
Yeah.
But the second one, he took her. It's like how he took her. He didn't drag her along. He picked her up. He carried her carefully down the stairs. I feel like that's kind of a stalkish vibe a little bit. Like, that's his woman a little bit. Like, I gotta take care of my woman. Like, very overprotected. Even with the kid, he like, hey, go back to sleep. Like, the first one seemed violent. To me, if her daughter woke up doing that attack, the first man seemed like he would killed her too. He would make sure the little girl wouldn't say anything. But this attack, he like, go ahead, go away. Like, he kind of like didn't care she was really there. He said, your mama's fine.
If it's two different people, where's the link?
That's why I feel like with this case, she probably, like, you think about a woman with DV or in a troubled relationship, she would probably have that pattern again and again and again until she breaks it.
So this wasn't a stranger. It wasn't two strangers.
I think the first one was a stranger. I feel like he was trying to do a robbery. He was trying to kill her, like make sure she's unconscious. I feel like that one, the first one, probably was on drugs. Because how he attacked her, like, he really didn't care. He was like, it's like a death.
Did he take anything, though?
He didn't take anything because she knocked the phone down, and that's when he heard everything. So he really didn't complete his mission. The first one doesn't seem really planned to me. The second one, I don't know. It could be, it really could be one person. He probably learned from his mistakes, as you said, and he kind of kept mastering, like, okay, let me see what I did different. Let me make sure her husband isn't at home. And let me make sure the kids are asleep.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, it's either the same person because obviously they wanted to carry a certain mission. I don't know why somebody would get attacked by two different people. I mean, unless they lived in a very sketchy neighborhood, I don't know. Either somebody hired two different people to carry out a task, or in my opinion, it was the same person and they had a couple years to like master their skill set.
Her husband, I haven't really, talked about him a little bit, but he was a judge. He did have a lot of power, because he could choose a person, basically life or death, really, to me, because the person can have a good life or they're going to die in jail. What if he kind of hires somebody? What if he hires somebody that's kind of like, kind of sketchy, and then he's like, okay, go for her. Like, if you don't want to, what if he like, hey, if you want to get out of jail a little early, or not go to jail, take care of my wife, and you're good. Because each time he's gone, and this always seemed kind of creepy to me, and I'm not saying it was him, it's just a theory. Why didn't she go to the banquet with him? A type of banquet like that, a politician banquet, that's a big banquet.
An image is everything.
Very, very. Because you have to have your wife on your hand.
Perfect, happy family.
I agree. So that's always a little creepy to me. Why didn't she go? Because when she got home, he assumed that she was gone. Because they did have a 19-year-old daughter. She could have really just babysitted her siblings. Or he assumed that the mom was like next door somewhere. So like seemed like you had a good support system.
Right.
So it's like, why didn't your wife go to the banquet with you? Because it will seem kind of weird for a husband not to bring his wife to a banquet like that, because he kind of like smooching around a little bit. Ironically, it was the same night that she got attacked, because it seemed like each day he made sure he wasn't there, that his alibi was spotless. Solid. I mean, I'm not saying it was him. I'm not saying it was him, but he is a part of a theory.
Yeah.
Because why would he want her just gone?
So another thing that it mentioned was she had $9,000 in assets and some change. She was a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. How did she come into all this money? Unless it was inherited.
They don't know.
Or she had some
getaway money.
Or she had some sketchy business on the side, and that's why they kept coming for her.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that at all.
Oh.
I was thinking sometimes I know when lady or a man and their person is the breadwinner and they are in a DV situation, they will kind of like take some of the money and put aside. They'll do like little side businesses and keep that money as a escape money.
Like a safety net.
Safety net. I listened to TikTok and I read it. Her mom always taught her to have escape money. Do not tell whoever you're dating you have this money. So if in case this situation get difficult, you have your money. You don't need to stay at home and like what I'm gonna do. You have a plan. And I think that is very important. I would tell any woman, if your husband is the breadwinner, have a little side business. Have your money coming in a little bit. Don't fully depend on your husband, because I have seen a lot of relationships go down and the woman is just stuck. She has nowhere to go. She's solely dependent on her husband. Sometimes they don't want to leave because someone will say, who a woman with this many kids? Or who will want me? Or how will I survive with no money and my husband make all the money? Have your side business. Have your little, if he's paying on a bill and he giving you money for food or groceries, put like $50 aside, $25. Keep stacking your money.
So I think what makes the most sense is if the husband wanted to get rid of her, it was because maybe he found out about her escape plan or her safety net. He felt he was being lied to. So maybe that's why, he's seen a lot of criminals come to his courtroom. He could have hired 2 different ones. The first one couldn't complete the task. The second one did. And it happened to be on the night that he was at a banquet, which...
Both times she was attacked, he was not home.
Interesting.
What if when the daughter told him, he was like, oh, shoot. What if he really believed the daughter, but he kind of like, hey, no, you're not making no sense, because he didn't want the police officer to know.
Because he's a judge, he has a lot of influence, and he has to be friends. Cops, everybody, lawyers, they want a judge as their friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he says, don't believe her, she's 9, clearly by that age, you are pretty sensible in what you experience. Like you're aware of your surroundings. You're aware of the situation. You can read a room at 9.
That's why he probably didn't kill the daughter. Jules probably said, hey, go for my wife only. Don't touch the kids, because he had to know that his kids was at home. But also the 19-year-old, she wasn't home. Think about her. She would have been more valuable to the case because they would have to believe her because she's super older. She's grown. But she's gone. Like, she's with her friend.
But she's also a woman.
Mm-hmm. But still, though, she could easily say, like,
this is what I saw.
This is what I saw.
She would have been more credible.
Very credible. 9-year-old is like, she's credible too, but like, they're like, oh, well, she's young. We don't know. She probably was sleeping. She wasn't home. What if he made sure she wasn't home for a reason? Because she, like you said, she would have been more liable. She was like, hey, yeah, this is what I saw. And the police officer probably would believe her more than her younger sibling. Probably the dad didn't think the younger sibling was going to wake up.
Right.
Because the guy, it seemed like he was very quiet with what he was doing.
But that takes some cojones to send an assassin or send a bad guy into your house to unalive your wife while your children are at home.
Sometimes people don't care.
You trust that person with your family?
It's like this case, I feel like we are really like getting to theories big, because I never thought of the husband. I'm not saying it was him. It's a theory, guys, so don't come at me.
But it's very ironic.
It's very ironic a little bit that he could do this. And I'm going to say something. I don't know if you want to keep it or not, but when a lot of people, bloggers, do this case, the family come after them. Just saying.
So they're going to come after us.
No, they stopped doing that. People didn't care no more. They still kept doing it.
These are just theories.
These are just theories. We're not saying like, oh, it's him or her. But it is a theory. I mean, we always do think of the husband first.
Yeah.
But he would know that. He's a judge.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Please tell me your theories. Come to I made us a Facebook page and a Facebook group. TikTok is still alive. I don't know how long we're going to be alive, guys. TikTok, please do not get banned. That's like where we do we have other social medias, but that's where we do most of our cases and clips on that one. But tell me your theories. Tell me what you believe. Please do it in the comments below. DM us, email us. This case right here is like I said, it's twists and turns. It's a lot. So please tell me your theories. I cannot wait to hear. We're on all social medias platform. We are on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everything. I mostly will post on YouTube YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook now. So please check out our page and our group. I will doing clips there, and I also will do True Crime 1 Minute there too. Let us know your case suggestion. Also hit that notification button. Hit it. Have a notification when you hear us. Like, you need to get first on deck. Trust me, like, these episodes are getting more and more interesting. Follow us on Apple and Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating. Come on, get us up there. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And this is Lesbian Detectives. And don't forget, everybody's a suspect.
Until proven innocent.
See ya, bye. See you next week.
Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message I present to you.